All right, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Keanu. I've been into crypto since 2018 and ever since also working closely with Chainlink or doing stuff around Chainlink. So I'm very happy to be here and be able to host together with my two good friends here, Quentin and Michael. Before we start, gentlemen, can you please quickly introduce yourself and give like a quick brief explanation on who you are and how you are involved in the Web3 space? Let's start with Quentin.
Hi, yeah, that works. It's really good. Positive. Okay, so yeah, my name is Quentin. I've been full-time in crypto since 2017. I started off with YouTube, but a few years ago I transitioned to mainly X. I've been in Chainlink since I think 2018 or 2019. I'm actually not sure anymore. A long time already. And I've also wrote a book, and I co-founded a Web3 startup called WeRate. So that's me.
I'm Michael. For the people who don't know me, I'm from Amsterdam. I'm in crypto since 2017, and I had a company which was a trading group, which I quit a year ago, in which we've got multiple companies right now. So we've got a venture capital, we've got a consultancy, an asset management firm, and a marketing agency. I'm in Chainlink since, well, I guess a few months after you joined Chainlink, because you introduced me to it. Heavily supporting Chainlink on social media, not really supported by entire CT all the time, but still supporting and going strong.
Awesome. So Michael and Quentin, they have quite a lot of followers on their social media, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. And today, as announced, we're going to talk about how you can approach or how you shouldn't approach influencers in, well, Web3 space and markets. So a first question I have here for you gentlemen is, how do you see the role of influencers in a Web3 ecosystem, and what impact do you believe that influencers have on the adoption and growth of Web3 technologies? Maybe this time, Michael, you can start.
Well, I think the main role is to just provide reach for the actual use case of the project. I think that should be it. As a matter of fact, most concerns are on making money or prices, all those things, and many projects that are unethical are actually also focused on that. But I think the core role is to provide reach, exposure, and all those things. That should be it.
Okay, Quentin, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I also think to a certain extent, especially smaller team projects, let's say it like that, that launch their project. I think for these ones, KOLs can really like make or break even a project. Of course, the bigger ones that are launching, that's a very different thing. But I think KOLs carry a big responsibility there, because they can definitely like do damage or do very good for the project.
Yeah, definitely. And we are currently, I could say, we are in a strong market. It's very volatile still, but as everyone knows, markets move in cycles. And you have moments in cycles where more people enter the markets than usual, usually when price action is really strong on the upside. With that, I assume you guys get a lot of new DMs of new projects that are entering the space. How do you, from your perspective, what are some of the best ways that these projects could approach you in DMs, or maybe not in DMs, maybe through email? And how do you filter these projects?
Yeah, starting with me now? Okay. So I think there are several ways to do it, but I'm going to talk from my personal perspective, how I come in touch with projects. And it is especially via agents. So that's like individual people that work with projects, or these can be like people from VCs. But I work with these people because if you simply have a look at your inbox in your emails, there's like every month hundreds of them. And if you want to do like your due diligence on all of these projects, then that's already a full-time job on itself. So you want someone that is actually doing some filtering for you already. And that's why it's better, in my opinion, to also as a project to try to approach the KOLs via agents or VCs. I think that is the most important thing. You can also do, of course, like a cold outreach, but then you need to make it like very personalized, because like most of these emails are like very standard emails. Or the thing that, for example, happens with me a lot of times is that they say like, oh, I love your videos, but I don't make videos anymore. Then you know, like, okay, they had a quick look at my YouTube channel, they see I have a YouTube channel, but they actually don't know anything. So they didn't even like take the time to look at what I'm doing. So it's not personal at all. So I think that there is a possibility that you will get like a good response, or like that I work with a project that comes into my mailbox, but it's rather unlikely.
Yeah.
To be fair, the personal touch goes both ways. So I think the project doesn't know anything about the KOL, and the KOL doesn't know anything about the project. Having that as a thesis is basically where the market is at this point. That's why I've been working with agents as well, or agencies, and there has been some social media posts the past period about that. But I think agencies are fine, but agencies are, most of them, also primarily focused on making as much money as possible. So I think we need to have a shift towards fundamental progress, whether or not through regulation or not. So in my opinion, for myself, I am starting to drive away from agencies, become a VC investor with a project, and combine that with long-term, well, I would say partnerships. So I think through that I can make a larger impact to the projects than having a KOL round being raised by a smaller project and then the KOL just disappears if the price doesn't do anything. But if you think about that, then the KOL should be supporting regardless of what the price does. It should be about what the project is building. And that's still to be decided, and we need to go there. So I think that the markets are very early in that sense, and still need to mature quite heavily before projects are on spot one and not the agencies and the KOLs themselves.
If a company or an agency approaches you, if a company or an agency approaches you, what are the first things you look at for a project or in a project?
Whether it fits into our verticals, that's step one. Second step is having a call. And then I've got a team, so I don't need to do that myself, but the team is scanning it through an entire process. And then we, like 90% it's just, we don't take those deals. A small part we do, and with the VC even a smaller part. So taking those deals or those partnerships required a lot of DD and a lot of work from both sides to make it work, but then it becomes personal. And what I get back from projects that we work with is that they like to have that contact and to have a touch with what you're doing, also have an influence in what you're doing. And by doing that for a longer term, a longer period of time, you get a higher impact, and that's how we do it.
And Quentin, and maybe a question for you as well. When you get DMs from projects or VCs, what are some of the common mistakes or red flags that you notice the most in such messages or projects that approach you?
I think I already touched on this a little bit, because I think the biggest mistake that projects make is if they do cold emailing, which I would not recommend, then they should make it personal. That is, I think, the most important thing. If something is not personal, or if there's like even mistakes in the email about who you are because they didn't look you up enough, then I'm definitely already not going to do it. So I think that is actually the biggest mistake that that projects can make. Yeah, but I think like what I wanted to add to what Michael said is it always comes down to that 80% of the deals that you take as a KOL comes via personal recommendation. And either that is the agencies that we talked about, which of course also have their disadvantages, such as what you also said. Right now you see like certain groups of KOLs working with these agencies, and then it's always the same group of people promoting a new project that is coming on, and then the community quickly turns away from that as well, which I understand. But I think also the personal recommendations for good projects can also just come, for example, from other KOLs. That also happens quite a lot lately. But I think that is the most important thing. Keep it personal. Either go for a personal recommendation or introduction via someone, or cold emailing, do it personally, do it in a very personal way as well.
Do you sometimes reach out to companies yourself? If you see, oh, that's a very cool project, I want to work with that. Does that sometimes happen when you are the one, the asking party?
It happens, but it doesn't happen a lot. This is a very small percentage of the cases. But it happened a few times in the past, yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing that way more often, to be fair. Because of what I said earlier and what you were mentioning too, it's just a very complex market for projects to get the right KOLs to your own project. So that's why we reach out to them to make sure that we can help them. And given the fact that the entire Web3, or I would say Web 2.5 space becomes more mature, there are more Web 2 people joining the Web 3 space who simply don't know how to do the marketing or anything about the Web 3 space. So I think it's going to a more sustainable market, and everything is being built upon hype and a pump and dump kind of way, in which there's the cycles of 4 years, but when we talk about ecosystems and their hype narrative, it's usually a window of 1 year. So from the VCs, you get the push to launch at a specific period in time. From the KOLs, you get a different push. From the agencies, you get a different push, and it's all about money. Well, if you look at ETC and all the projects that are building here, most of them have a horizon of a decade or a longer period of time. So the significance of those KOLs is going to be there, but the requirement of them to join the project is going to be partnering for a longer time instead of that short-term window. So I think with KOLs, it's going to be a shift.
And do you prefer a long-term partnership, a more personal long-term partnership with a project, or a quick, hey, I post a tweet or a video mentioning your project, and after that we part ways?
I think for both parties it makes most sense to do it long term. So I still did a few marketing campaigns for a few months, but with the VC it's going to be a longer period. So if I am, as an investor, interested in the project and I believe in the vision of the founder, then I'm okay supporting it. The same as with, I've never been sponsored by Chainlink, but I believe in the vision of Chainlink, so that's why I keep posting about it. And I think that should be fine. So I think if we talk about that specifically, KOLs can either get a marketing deal or just a long-term investment, just like any VC has. And we would like to have more VC investments to actually advise the projects themselves how they can navigate into the Web3 ecosystem.
Okay.
But I also think that the projects can actually have, or has a way better chance of getting you on board for longer term if they also invest in you, right? With some projects that I invested in personally, and also do some promotion for because I own it, I've never talked to the team. I only talked via the agencies or agents. And if this team is not even trying to get to build a personal relationship with you, then you're more quickly going to say okay, this is a quick thing anyway. I mean, yeah, because you don't feel any connection to the heart of the project, which is the team.
That's why I don't invest through those agencies anymore. As in, they are, if you really run the numbers, they are the big winners of those rounds, and not the project.
Quinten, you mentioned that you prefer that other projects should also invest in you. What are some of your preferred ways that projects could invest in you as a person, or as an influencer, or as a company?
I want to give 2 examples here. The first thing I think about is Binance. So I've been supporting Binance since they actually started in 2017, July or August was that. And actually I've been talking about them quite a lot, and I invested in BNB Coin, etc. This was not like a thing that they paid me, but they appreciated my support, which turned into some kind of partnership eventually, but it didn't start like this. But they like along the way, for example, they send you merch, they ask you for like Binance Blockchain Week in Dubai, in Paris. They invited me to speak at their 5-year anniversary. Like these things, and also because you get to know like a lot of people from the team, these things are like an investment from the side of the company into you. Like it's not about purely giving you like returns or whatever. It can be like very small things. But a second example of a lot smaller company that I think of is Exceed.me. That is one that I invested in 2021, but I quickly built like a really good relationship with these people. I also like it's a Web3 gaming platform, by the way, where you can play like normal video games such as Counter-Strike. And I'm like a huge Counter-Strike player myself. So what they did is like, they said like, hey, Quinten, we're organizing a live stream tournament with pro players, and you can join and you can take over like the Twitch account of Exceed.me. So that's one of the things they did, and I of course, like it's all, I don't ask anything for that to spend my time there, because I think it's really cool, and it's a cool way to support a project, and they get you involved in it. And then a few months later, they invited me to their event in Portugal, and I could play on stage some Counter-Strike with some pro players and talk in some panels and so on. And I think these are the things that really build a good long-term partnership. So if they're coming out with good news now, like 3 years later, even though my bag is not doing well anymore, I'm still be willing to talk about it, because I respect these people, they're still working on it, and they did also like a lot of extras for me. So I think that is the way to go.
Okay. Michael, can you give an example of a partnership that you did with a project that went really well, where you felt like the returns of that was way more than you originally expected?
Well, I've got a project that I'm currently working with, which is Alchemy. Very intense partnership, but as Quinten has mentioned, they invited me over to a few events in the UK. They're going to invite me over in October to Cebu Live as well. And I think overall, what is the important part with the project that I'm working with is that it's recognition both ways. So it's a personal relationship that you have with the project. It's not about just posting content, but it's also just complaining how bad their team is playing at the European Cup. Not referencing to the Belgian team, though, by the way. So just like the personal relationship that you would like to, you don't need to mute me, by the way. Just a personal relationship that is actually active instead of going through third parties. So you don't need much, but those small touches, that's how a relationship is being built up. And it doesn't mean that the project needs to be going through the roof or is actually going to flourish. It's tech, so it can die down quite quickly, but just having that.
Do you believe that there are instances where a cooperation between an influencer and a project could actually harm the ecosystem?
Yeah, it's depending on which KOL you take, but also on what topics you talk about. Quite often, as I said, it's about the price, and I think that should just be going away, and it should be about the fundamentals, and then everybody is more happy about it. But if it's just solely about the price, then, for instance, a few projects that have been launching their token and have done a KOL round, and now the markets destroyed their project. Like, the markets are relatively bad at this point. Nobody wants to talk about the project anymore, and you start to wonder why. It's about the price. So I think if there is an instance, or if a project is being connected with the KOL and you take the wrong KOLs, it can harm your project.
Yeah, understand, definitely. So, well, thank you very much. Before we're going to go into a little Q&A where people can ask questions to our influencers here on stage, I want to ask a little closing segment where if you'd be so kind to give like a few tips or tricks on how the build projects here in the room or any other project could reach out to influencers, or how they can start working together with influencers, maybe like in bullet points or any little advice you can give to the people in the room. Quint, maybe you can.
Yeah, so basically it's a summary of everything I said, I think. So first of all, try via a personal introduction. So either that is a KOL that you meet on an event or so, which is also, of course, a very good idea. And ask this person like, hey, do you know other KOLs that might be interested? The personal introduction is really good. Or work with agencies, that's a really good tip as well. And if you do a cold email, then make sure to make it personal as well. So I think a personal approach is always the best one. That is, I think, a bottom line, one of the bottom lines today. And I think, like, yeah, invest in the relationship with the person as well. Like, put some effort into it. If you're organizing an event, ask this person over. Just spend some time chatting with this person. Jump on a call if you have like a deal with someone. Whatever. Like, just put some effort into it. I think that's also very important if you want to have this support from the KOL for the long term. I think that is for me personally, the most important points for today. Maybe you want to add something?
Well, I said it before I went on stage. I think ECC is a great example of what builders are doing and the difference between KOLs and builders. I think aside from us, there are a few more KOLs here, but it's relatively calm. Which means that KOLs are not interested into ECC. They are more interested into commercial stuff like token and then going to fight night, which is also fine, but it's a different approach. I think the best way to get into contact with KOLs is that connect with them on events. That's why I am here. That's why Quinten is here. Second thing you could do is personal introduction through email or whatever. Or you work with VCs that have proven to do right when it comes to KOLs, and the same with agencies. But then if you work with VCs and agencies as a third party, make sure you get into touch with the KOLs themselves through calls and through messages, instead of letting the third party take over, because if you pick the wrong third party, you've got a lot of risk on your shoulders.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm gonna give the microphone to Romain. Oh, he already has one. Perfect for the audience to ask any questions for our dear panel member. So does anyone have any questions about what has been said? No?
No questions today.
Apparently not. Oh, there's one.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Hi, guys. I was just wondering, there's always this very controversial, or somewhat controversial topic about implementing KPIs on influencers. Do you like it? Would you suggest it? How should we go about doing that as a project?
I personally think for some KOLs that's a good idea, because some KOLs are notorious for investing in projects or taking like pre-seed rounds, whatever, and then not supporting the project at all. So I think that's a good possibility to be able to slash their token vesting then. I think it's a great idea, but it depends who you have in front of you. Personally, I don't want these KPIs because, for example, I had a few ones in the beginning of the cycle that were projects, if they would have given me KPIs, I would not have reached them, because of the simple reason that these companies quickly had a lot of brand damage because of several things that they did. So then I regret working with them, and then I don't want to further talk about them. So it's like working on a basis of trust and a personal relationship. It works always better. But I think it's a great idea for a certain pool of KOLs, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point we've got investments that KOLs are doing without any KPIs. That's when you are damaging the project. That's why I think that most KOL investments are either going to be just like any VC, where you have a long cliff, so you need to support, otherwise there's nothing going to happen. Or it's going to be a marketing deal where you're going to be having KPIs, and that's the tricky part of what KPIs are you going to be creating there. That's still a territory that we need to digest, because most of the times it's about creating a ton of tweets, but then it shouldn't be about the price at all, but at fundamental approach. But then there's also the thing of having bots as followers or fake engagement and stuff. So I think that is still something we need to define, but we're gonna get there anyways. And I think we're gonna have a lot of investment rounds that KOLs are not allowed to talk about price at all anymore. And as I mentioned, it's either gonna be a VC investment or a marketing deal for short-term, long-term difference.
Thank you for that. We have another question here. Yes, hi. I am a project building in Web3. If I want to reach out to you guys or reach out to other KOLs, reach out to VCs, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I'm very open on social media, so you can just send me a text message in Twitter DM or an email, or you can get in touch with my team member Bert over there. I think, as I mentioned before, the best way of doing it is by personal communication at an event. Second step is connecting online through my team. And the third worst step is going to an agency. So that's how you can do it. Anything to add, Quentin?
Well, I think like in specifically about VCs, yeah, I think it's not it's a great idea to connect via VCs, but it depends on which VC, because some VCs are also like notorious for just doing a major KOL push and then nothing anymore. But I think like there are great VCs, and if you are get in touch with them, get them to invest in your project, then they're definitely willing to help with the KOL management. Yeah.
I think we are living in a decentralized space, right? So maybe it's still not unclear or not clear enough which VCs are good or not, but in a year we probably know that. So deal flow will not be shared with the good ones at all. So it's just a matter of time.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter. Thanks for all the advice and recommendation. One question in regards to using agencies. How do we know which agency and which KOL works with an agency, right? Like, how do I know an agency that says has that KOL is truly, have that relationship?
I would say just ask them. Like if you meet someone on an event that runs an agency and says like, yeah, we can bring you in touch with KOLs, we can fill like a KOL round. Just ask them a list of KOLs, and I think if you are long enough in the space, then you know who are the good KOLs and which other ones have like a very questionable reputation. So I think it's that easy. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's quite hard if you're a Web 2 builder coming into Web 3, because then you simply don't know. And one of the examples I would like to give is that if you go to an agency to work with them, it's all about transparency. So as an example, I've been working with an agency that didn't share their cut to the actual project. So I found out by accident that they were taking approximately 50%. So that is harming everyone. With the good and the bad agencies, it comes indeed, if you know about the space, it comes down to the KOLs that they are working with. And if you are unclear about the agency, ask around. Just approach them. Go to events or go to stuff and ask them, or ask competitors, or ask other projects that they have in their portfolio what the reference is, and go from there.
I want to add one thing, because you made a really good point about people coming from Web 2 and they want to build in Web 3. If you want to start there, I think it is definitely a good idea to get an advisor on board in the team who has at least like 7-8 years of experience in the space. And this person should be able to navigate a little bit through like the reputations of different people in the space. So that is like a workaround, I would say.
Yeah, or VCs, right.
Hi guys, Raphael. So what I'm interested in is there a stage of a project that you prefer to see? Or do you usually look into like more mature projects or projects that already done a certain VC rounds, or yeah, what's your take on that? Or is that not relevant at all, right? So you look at other type of KPIs or team.
The projects that I work with from marketing perspectives, I usually take the ones that have been building stuff, which is already a big accomplishment in Web3 nowadays. When it comes to the VC, we are more seed round, pre-seed stage investors because we want to advise the project on which KOLs to work with. So that's the difference. And I tend to move more towards that instead of partnering with projects for marketing purposes because they are already there and I support them anyways. But pre-seed and seed is where you can have an actual impact.
I do agree. Like, of course, I'm not running anything VC-like, but yeah, the most appealing investments are, of course, the ones that are like in seed round or so, because they nowadays nearly every project makes a KOL round that got filled with like investments from the KOL, which I think is actually really good if it's done well with the right people, because the KOL has skin in the game of the project then as well. So that's personally how I also like to work with projects, so very early stage. But it's also possible to partner up with already existing projects, but the deal structure will look very, very different. And then I think you need to be very hybrid about how this deal should look like. This can either be like an OTC deal with vesting and some discount on the price. That is something that happens quite a lot, or like a fixed amount of money that you pay, which I would not recommend because there is no skin in the game from the KOL. So then he or she like doesn't care at all if the project makes it or not. He gets the money and that's it. So I think that is the least good way to do it. But yeah, that's what I think.
Hey guys, Sam. Thanks for doing this. How do you manage your own brand? Like, how do you not dilute your brand or become overexposed? And the other way is, how do the projects know that a KOL they're working with hasn't reached that state? Thanks.
Personally, I am very careful with the brands that I've built because I'm building this already for 7 years, and it's not going to be like a quick cash grab, to say it like that, because like some people, they enter the space right now with fake engagement, with fake followers, and they go definitely for the quick cash grab. So I think it's if you can track someone who is already like in the space full time for a long time, that is already some kind of track record if this person is still around. But yeah, I think it's just important if you want to work with a KOL or you get recommendation to work with a KOL to just check their socials and, for example, check on their X account or YouTube how many times he or she talks about like very small projects. It's like 80% of the posts that this person is doing on X is 80% about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, like the very big projects. Or is like most of it projects you've never heard about, then I think you already know a lot about the reputation as well, and then you have like a person in front of you that is not a good person to work with. You want someone who's very, very picky in the partnerships that they choose, and that's also how I try to do it. But of course, like along the way, you make some mistakes as well. Like I just said earlier on, like I've also worked with some projects that turned out to were not very legit, or that worked with a group of KOLs that I totally don't like and don't want to be associated with. But that happens, and then you quit working with this person, with this agent. But it's also for everyone difficult to navigate through everything. So it's a yeah, you just learn, get up, and continue as well as a KOL. But yeah, there has been some little things that I thought like, okay, this could hurt my brand, but I'm very, very careful about it.
Yeah, I'm also quite careful about the projects that I'm partnering with. I was in the, I don't know what's happening, but I was in the lucky circumstance that a partnership that I had was published on Twitter. I've been working with Polkadot, but also been investing into it for 6 years, so everybody can find all the details there. Some people actually said that I was making $500,000 per month on promoting Polkadot. Well, I wished. Anyway, I think that, as I mentioned earlier here, is that my brand is built up for the past 7 to 8 years. So people follow me for that particular content. And if I want to integrate a project into my content, it needs to be aligned with my vision. That's where it comes from. That's why I start doing less marketing deals, because with the VC investments, they can just go to the website, see our portfolio, see that we've got skin in the game, that we took risk, and that we're actually going from there. I think that's the right way going forward, and comes back down to transparency overall.
All right, all right, all right. That's it for today. Unless there's one really quick question. Anything else? Oh, you go? Oh, there's a couple more. Romain, do we have time for like a few more questions? All right, cool. I'll be right back. Power to the build projects. Yeah, no.
Hi. Hi. I know it can be like sector or KOL specific, but recently have you found any kind of focus, like basically which social media platform has started to make more material impacts to projects that you've kind of engaged with? Like has there been like some new platforms that are creating more material impact to projects, or is it still fairly specific to the sector?
What's the definition of impact?
Community growth, like genuine community growth and engagement in the project from just the community, I guess.
Well, I think X has been very, very strong when it comes to communities on meme coins, generally. When it comes to other projects that are walking around here in Deepin or AWA or like modular blockchains and stuff, it is having less of an impact because the general user on X doesn't really care about long-term perspectives of a project. It's all about hype-based approach generally, or most of them. But I think overall it's still about X at this point. X is the biggest platform out there. TikTok is the worst platform when it comes to legitimate builders. YouTube is going to be good too, but I think it comes down to KOLs posting about the specific verticals way more instead of talking about meme coins. As that's just hype driven. If that goes away, the impact will be bigger. But at this point in the cycle, there's barely any retail user in the market. So,
thanks.
Yeah, I want to add like one quick thing, because I think it's also important to mention that every platform has their own kind of audience. So of course the audience on TikTok is the least high level, to say it like that, or lowest level. Sorry to say that, but I think like YouTube is the first decent platform that you can do some promotion on, but it's also like on YouTube is most of the times the first step for new community members or new investors in the crypto space to start learning. So it's a good platform, but you find the more beginners, I think, on YouTube, and then if you want the more advanced, experienced people, it's actually a nice mixture. But I think like this is the best way to reach that group than it is via X. Yeah.
And I think one thing to add is that what I see is that a lot of projects are focusing on tier 1 KOLs. I didn't know that there was a tier system, but that's what they reference it to. A lot of projects that are walking at ETC needs to understand that having a DeFi focused or Deepin focused KOL with 10K followers has a way larger impact than my account. The large KOLs with like 500,000 followers on X and stuff, usually have a lower impact than having very dedicated KOLs into one segment. So also with the bigger YouTube accounts that are more of a marketing show than actual providing some real educational content.
Yeah, but I also think the impact can come from something else because, for example, if you are investing in a project, nowadays you are on the pitch deck. So you're the impact as in like the...
Not approved though, not approved though.
No, but it happens nowadays that like very big accounts that invest in a project are even on the pitch deck. So in terms of reputation that you can gain from working with a respected KOL or a big KOL, then you can definitely have your impact there. But I agree totally with what you said about if you want an impact of like building community, then it's a great idea to look for the niches. If you want an impact in reputation and attract like new investors and so on, then it's also a good idea to get like the big A-tier KOLs.
Tier 1.
Tier 1, yeah.
But there are a few KOLs out there that have been proven to do really well, but it's all about track record, and I know that a few projects here are actually doing that. But I think if you have been getting solid KOLs that have been proven to work good with projects in the previous years, then that is also going to have a larger impact than just the general KOL posting copycat content out there.
All right, going once, going twice, sold. We are done here. Guys, give it up. This was a fantastic presentation, fantastic panel. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming out. As said, there will be drinks. There will be food right here. Food's coming out shortly. Drinks are here. We will be staying here until 5:30. Then the happy hour will begin, so more people will be coming in from the Chainlink ecosystem and Chainlink community and Chainlink fans and everybody. So it's going to be a long one. Enjoy. See you guys out there. Network and have fun. Thanks, guys.